if you just allow me to spend a few more, I don't know, minutes or something, or a few more sentences and words on what we just chanted, and what we have done on this pilgrimage so far. So for me it's always very nice to reflect on these very momentous events, and probably you will hear about them again and again, but I don't think you can repeat them enough times. It's really kind of like a Big Bang. I just used that word before. The Big Bang was what created this whole universe and everything which is in this universe, and made, the planets, the suns, the beings, and so forth. But now the momentous event that we visited the place where it actually happened is the event of a Buddha arising in the world. And a world system without a Buddha is basically a world which is shrouded in darkness, a world which is just basically driven by defilements, and the experience that we have in this world will be an experience of suffering, as I shared a little bit earlier. So we are liable to suffering in this world. There is no way around it. There is no way out. And before a Buddha arises in the world, there is no escape. But once a Buddha arises in this world, there is actually an escape for all of us. I do have to correct myself, actually, as I'm talking now with Bhante Chunda. We just had a bit of a discussion. So there is even an escape without the Buddha. So there is beings who are called Pacceka Buddhas, and who realize enlightenment by themselves without any help, like the Sammasambuddha. But they don't have the ability to teach. They don't have the ability to pass on their knowledge, rather their experience, their attainment, their realization. Maybe that's the best word to use. So they have a deep, not just life-changing, like many lifetimes changing experience, and they are able to put that in words. And the Sammasambuddha is a being who can put that in such clear, concise, beautiful language that beings with little dust in their eyes can understand. And that even beings with a little bit more dust in their eyes can get an inkling or an idea or a taste of it and start walking in the right direction. So what a beautiful event this was, when a Buddha arose in the world about 2,600 years ago. So that was the first event. And then as the story goes, we talked about this with Bhante Chunda as well, that as the legend goes and what is recorded in the scriptures, Sahampati came down, who was a friend of the Buddha to be in a past life, and basically begged him to teach and to spread the teaching. And the Buddha did reflect, apparently, and did agree out of compassion, and with the understanding that there is beings that can benefit from this. The thing which happened after his enlightenment, that I don't know if I can recall it correctly, but it's also so beautifully described in the sutta, that this truth that he has found is so profound, is so deep, is so subtle, that people who are attached to this world, who have craving and defilements, and who basically, care about the 5 sense world, rather than going inwards, understanding the mind, letting go of things. For them, it's really difficult to understand. And it also mentions there that this truth can't be understood through mere reasoning. So logic can't get you there. It's important to have a basic understanding of the teaching. It's important to have a framework, but the framework really comes into action once we start experiencing certain things. And the things we start to experience, then we can understand them in the light of Dhamma, in the light of right view. And then that will help us to break through. But breaking through is not something which can happen through just, thinking about something, reasoning this way and that way, and trying to apply logic. It defies logic. Ajahn Brahm often says that meditation and the path is basically a feely practice, not a thinky practice. But you do need both. I do agree. So, but they have to come together. So Ajahn Brahm often teaches it in this way, that he says it's like the gunpowder and the match. The gunpowder are the teachings that were given by the Buddha freely out of compassion. So we listen to them, we let them into our hearts, we try to record them as deeply as we can. We don't overthink them, but we let them come in, and then as we practice sila, as we practice samadhi and stillness, then a point arises where we have certain experiences, and then we can understand what those experiences were about. And that's when the match and the gunpowder come together, and boom, it's another kind of big bang. But it's a big bang in our own little universe, in our own little hearts and in our own little minds. Anyway, so that's the first event that we kind of covered in Bodh Gaya. We covered, the Buddha starting his noble search towards enlightenment over 6 years, and then coming to Bodh Gaya, rediscovering the middle path, and understanding the Four Noble Truths, dependent origination, and then being able to teach the path, the Eightfold Path, that will always, and has always, led to enlightenment. So that was the first event, and now the second event is where we are heading. So we are heading towards the Deer Park tomorrow. And the Deer Park, that is the next event. So the Dhamma arose in the world, the Buddha arose in the world, but now the Buddha needed someone to be taught. The story goes that he was wandering towards Benares, and that there were people who met him on the way, and they realized he is a radiant, peaceful being. Something has shifted, something has happened to this being. And so they asked him, what happened, and who is your teacher? And he basically answered, I've realized the truth. I have awakened, and I don't have any teacher. And the people who met him on the way, they just shook their head and walked away, and thought, he was, proud, or he was just kind of like crazy or something like that. So the Buddha was there, the teaching was there, the Buddha and the Dhamma were there, but there was no transmission. There wasn't the starting of the teaching, the starting to roll the wheel of the Dhamma in this world. And that's the next event that is coming in Benares. So he met his 5 disciples from before, and I'm sure we'll go into this story in more detail. But the next event is what we just chanted at the end of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, which explains the middle path, the Four Noble Truths, and the Eightfold Path. Kondanya understood. And the Buddha was, there was an exclamation of the Buddha, wow, awesome, great. Kondanya actually got it. And please understand what a huge event that is as well. That's when the Buddha, the Dhamma, and then through that the Sangha is created. The first Sotapanna in this world, the first person who has, after this huge, a long time of no teachings being available and being taught by the Buddha, they are transmitted and they are understood. Not fully yet, but enough to understand what it is all about. Enough to know what the practice is and to be able to start walking and developing on this path and going through the different stages of enlightenment until we reach Nibbana, until we become Arahants, and then, Parinibbana. But I don't want to go into that too much. That's coming later.